Ms. Keisha, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Here.
Chambers,
Present.
Dees, Foster, Harris, Phillips,
Here.
White, Chairman Clifton.
Here.
Move to excuse those not present.
Motion made and seconded to excuse those commissioners not present. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have our city engineer with us today, Mr. Chris Wilburn, representing City Engineer's Office. Glad you could be with us. If you would, please turn off your cell phones, as I do mine. And our Planning Commission procedures are on the back of an agenda, if you'd like to pick one up. Mr. Spencer, do you have anything under administrative?
Nothing to report today.
Thank you. We have been submitted a copy of the minutes of our previous meetings. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Under our Development Review Committee, Mr. Don Chambers is our chairman. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Development Review Committee met and considered SD 2015-4 CFO Network Edition, Lot 1, replat of an office located at the southwest corner of 4th and Maple Streets. The applicant was present and we considered items 1 through 10. The applicant agreed with those items, and the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this application? Yes, sir. Please come up and give us your name for the record.
John Pownell with Thomas Engineering, 3810 Lookout Road. And on item number 2A, it asks for a 25-foot property line radius at those corners. And I don't know if you've changed this or not, but if you look at that lot, there's buildings in those radius points. So we can't provide those radiuses without having the building encroach into the right-of-way.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chambers?
Mr. Pownall, that item is not on what we approved.
Okay, thank you.
That has been deleted.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor of the application, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item B, SD 2015-5, Richards Commercial, Lot 1 through 15, preliminary plat of commercial lots located at the end of Richards Road behind ABF. The applicant was present. We considered items 1 through 10 in subsections, and the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item C is SD 2015-6, Walmart Commercial, Lot 7AR, replat site plan review of a commercial center located on the north side of Mallbell Boulevard near Paul Ailes Drive. The applicant was present. We considered items 1 through 11 in subsections. The applicant agreed to all those items, and the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Item D is SD 2015-7, George W. Heilman subdivision, Lot 5A and 5B, a replat and site plan review of a contractor's office located at the southwest corner of Hillard and Crystal Hill Road. The applicant was present. We considered items 1 through 11 and subsections. The applicant agreed to all that, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. The application be approved as submitted. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item E, site plan is SD 2015-8, North Shore Business Park, Lot 11, Block 8, final plat and site plan review of Windstream office located in the northeast corner of North Shore Lane and North Shore Drive. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 11 in subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That concludes the Development Review Committee report, Mr. Chairman.
We have that one addition, Don.
There's
We
one
have
else.
one more on there.
Where'd it go? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Item F is on the agenda. It's not part of the package. And that is NS 244-15, Trails at the Rock Addition, Lot 1, preliminary plat and site plan review of apartments located between Young Road and Crystal Hill Road. We have reviewed this many times, and I can only imagine the applicant has agreed to all the items and subsections, and that the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this be approved as submitted. Is there any comments from anyone in the audience? Yes. Answer any questions. Are you okay with all of the conditions that was on the application? Give us your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name's Hugh Jarrett. I'm with the applicant, and this was submitted some time ago, but we are in agreement with all the everything on the application.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners on the application? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll move on to the public hearing part of our meeting, and first item is rezone case number 2015-2 to rezone property from I-1 to a C4 to recognize existing multifamily use located at 2001 Highway 161 in North Little Rock. Oh, I'm sorry, R4, to recognize existing multifamily. Is the applicant here? Please come up and give us your name for the record.
My name is Steve Jenkins with JWJ Investments, LLC.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this application? Excuse me, Mr. Jenkins, let this lady
Oh, I'm sorry.
give us your name, please.
My name is Ida Emerson. I'm a resident in the Glenview Community Center. I am against this, and why I'm here just to satisfy, I'm against both of them. I speak on behalf of some of our neighbors also, and I had a question in regards to this application and the fact that we were only notified of this process of what was going on. But my understanding is in the application process, do they get to go ahead and produce whatever they're doing, like they've added the trailers and everything, so all this can go up before any of this is approved?
This was done, and the code enforcement officer noticed what was going on, and then he brought it before the owner's attention. Hence, he came and made application for the rezoning.
Okay, so we're in line in regulations and notifying us of the application. Well, we are against it because we had no idea that this was going on. We did notice that there was improvements to that particular area. They had a house there, and then they had some apartments. So we do appreciate that. That improves the neighborhood over there. However, we are not for these trailers being added. When you're talking about a trailer that requires butane to keep warm, that is not, it does not be in line with what those apartments in the areas is and the houses in that area.
Could we get your name again and your address?
I'm sorry, my name is Ida Emerson. My address is 2111 Hunter Road.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Emerson. Mr. Jenkins, would you like to respond?
I would be happy to address those issues. We purchased this property in August of last year because we own quite a bit of other land in the area and have noticed this property for a number of years being derelict, just a property in a state of disrepair. Parking lot was bad. It was an area where there was a high degree of crime and prostitution, drug usage. When we purchased the property, we bought it with the intention of just cleaning it up on the idea that at some point that property would be developed for something else. But in the meantime, it was bringing property values down in the area. We'd recently sold a corner piece of property down there to a Family Dollar store, and they developed a nice Family Dollar store down there. And so we're hoping to see more development in that area to serve this underserviced part of our community. We began cleaning that up. I went down and talked to Mr. Robert Voles, who was the planning director at the time, told him kind of what we were doing. And at the time, it was really kind of a mixed use as it is now. There's a single-family residence on the property, there was a motel on the property, and then there was a trailer park in the back. The trailers were particularly bad. Upon going in the trailers, some of them were, you could step right through the floor, very dangerous situation, very bad situation. And I talked to Mr. Bowles about it, saying my understanding of the way that our city's trailer park rules were is that if you pull a trailer out of there, you can't put another one back in, that we're not really trying to have trailer parks. And Mr. Bowles said, well, you know, we're kind of seeing that can be counterproductive when we encourage someone to keep the same old trailer there as opposed to bringing in a new trailer. They just continue to patch the old trailer. And that's what had happened. One of the trailers was titled for 1954. So you can imagine that it certainly didn't meet any of the codes that might be there. That trailer, we just had to tear it down. I asked Mr. Bowles, look, if we replaced trailers, could we do that? And he said he thought that wouldn't be a problem. We determined that there was a real need in this area for one-bedroom trailers or one-bedroom houses, one-bedroom apartments. We're getting a lot of requests for that. We immediately changed the motel that was on the property from the Davis Motel to the Davis Apartments. They are one-bedroom studio apartments with a kitchenette. We don't have any trouble renting it. We do not rent by the week, by the day, by the month. We have a 6-month minimum lease, and we don't have really any trouble renting it. There's a big demand for one-bedrooms. So in looking at trailers, we just thought, well, hey, we're having no trouble with one-bedrooms. I found out that the Proto Manor apartments next door have 199 apartments in that complex, and they have 8 one-bedrooms. The manager over there said, no, I wish I had more one-bedroom apartments. I could rent them like crazy. So we began to look for one-bedroom trailers, and we've discovered these travel trailers. And looking around and seeing other mobile home parks, it was not unusual to see fifth wheel camper trailers established in these mobile home parks. We have several here in North Little Rock, and I see them all over the state and elsewhere when I travel. So we bought the trailers and started bringing them in. We underpinned them, tied them down, hooked them up correctly, brought in some new electric service so that it would fit it, and got everything set up. And one day, Mr. Green stopped in and he said, hey, is this licensed for an RV park? And I said, no, sir, it's a trailer park. I've got a privilege license for 8 trailers. And he said, well, that's fine, but these are not mobile homes, and you're set up as a mobile home park and not an RV park. You're probably going to want to talk to Mr. Spencer about that and see what needs to be done to make that correct. So I called Mr. Spencer and came down to see him, and as you may know, it's currently zoned R1. The property hasn't been significantly R1 for 40 years. So in the process of cleaning up the property ourselves, it was recommended that we might want to clean up the zoning as well, bring it in line with the land use plan for the city of North Little Rock. So the land use plan calls for it to be R4. You cannot get a special use, it's my understanding, on R1, and it was pointed out that we would probably need to get a special use to locate the 6 trailers. We've only asked for the 6 trailers that are there. We have no intention of putting anything. We didn't ask for trailers. There may be some concern, well, you might want to put some other trailers or anything. We don't have any plans to put any more trailers in there. We've done really kind of, Ms. Emerson makes a good point. You know, I mean, we're kind of here after the fact, after finding out, you know, how things went and what our misunderstanding was, and the misunderstanding that I had with Mr. Bowles. So I certainly understand that. We're trying to clean that up, clean up the thing, and make sure that we stay in compliance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
just to clear up a couple things there. This is separated into two requests. So the first request right now is just to recognize the rezoning. It's an existing multifamily property, and we're recognizing that. And just to clear up a little thing, if he was asking for 6 trailers on the property, there wouldn't be here. That's allowed. So he would be allowed to replace those trailers with old trailers with new trailers. So what had happened is he misunderstood trailer with fifth wheel.
Okay.
And so part 2 of this will be recognizing the fifth wheels. But if he was wanting to pull those fifth wheels out and put trailers in, that would be allowed by right as a grandfathered use. He can replace them when they're of age.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spencer. Any other comments on this application? Any comments from any commissioners?
Yes.
6 mobile homes, and he's replaced all 6 of them, or how many?
That's correct.
Yeah, all 6 of them with fifth wheels.
There continues to be
Yeah.
2 mobile homes that are still on site.
Yeah. But the first request right now is just to recognize the zoning to R4, and then the second part of the vote will be a special use to recognize the 6 fifth wheels.
Okay, any other comments on the application? Please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Deep, Foster. Yes. Harris.
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes. Yes. That rezoning of the property did pass. We'll take up item number 2, special use case number 2015-4, to allow 6 camper trailers to be used as a residence in a R4 zone located at 2001 Highway 161. The conversation has been about the 6 camper trailers, and at the Development Review Committee meeting, you were made aware that you would not be able to place any more than 6 on this property.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's correct. Okay. Any other comments from anyone in the audience?
Yes, and you have my name. I just want to comment, it's real interesting how we can have, everyone else tells us how and what is best for our area. We are an older neighborhood established in 1956 for minorities, but yet we have people that come in and have bought up property and they have businesses in this area. I don't see where there is improvement to the area because of the things that are approved and allowed to come into that area. There is no, oh yeah, it was good that they sold the property and they brought in a Family Dollar. That area needed it. It was good. That's a good thing. People utilize that. However, when you talk about when you're talking about a single family and it's a demand for it, you're talking about a family. When I think of family, I think of more than one person. So if you're going to do something like this, then utilize the area and build houses instead of putting trailer parks there. I'm sure that there are areas along 161 that have trailer parks. Go and read. That's already established and done. Quit bringing these types of things to our neighborhood, not improving our property value.
Thank you. Any comments from any of the commissioners? Mr. Foster?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Jenkins a question. The photographs you included in the packet, are those there now?
Yes, sir, that is
Okay,
correct.
underpinned like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, looks nice. Looks like he has kind of cleaned up the property. Let me ask you this, kind of relates to the lady's comment there. What is your long-range plan for this piece of property?
Well, to be quite frank, we don't really have a long-range plan. We have other property in the area, and we were made aware that the property was for sale. We did not want to see it continued the way it was operated, so our plan was kind of short-range. We intentionally didn't put anything permanent on this site because we felt like that ultimately there will be. Tonight it was just approved for R4. We also own the 11 acres that are kind of on the corner of Bethany and right behind the Family Dollar store. There is a gentleman, Danny Shirley, that owns the property between this property and our other property. In discussing this with Mr. Spencer, I see the best use of this, highest and best use as multifamily, the R4. The idea behind these trailers is that this gets us through until this area can become a little better developed. Would love to see, and we have had some conversations with the Highway Commission to have them improve the Highway 161 to the same degree that they improved the north side. We'd like to see them improve the south side. Once that happens, we feel like that we can attract more development. You know, it's hard to bring in a Family Dollar when you look down the street and, you know, we've run off 3 prostitutes that were operating out of that hotel. It's a challenge, but it's our commitment to keep that area cleaned up. Ultimately, to answer your question, we don't really have any long-range plans, but if there were long-range plans, these trailers would be able to be moved out simply without a great deal of cost, and then probably a strip put down with some multifamily apartments, duplexes or triplexes.
Did you say you knew the individuals who owned the apartments there next to you?
We've had some contact with the manager there quite frequently.
What's the occupancy of those? It looks like when I've driven by, there's a lot of cars there.
There is a lot of cars there. They are very well occupied. The Protho Manor is thriving.
Looks like there's a market there.
There's a market there, and they're nice apartments. They just put new roofs on. I can't imagine what it costs. So they continue to reinvest in that property.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jenkins, my main problem is the durability of the unit. It's a travel trailer. It's not a permanent residence trailer. They sell trailers that are for permanent residences. Can you offer a timetable for when these may be removed off the property and something more suitable that's actually built for long-term habitation can be put in its place? Even another trailer? But that's my problem with it, is they're travel trailers. They're not permanent residence trailers. I do know some people travel the states, live in this for 10 and 20 years. I understand that. But I'm about to approve something that will set a precedent that anybody that wants to come in and do 20 acres in travel trailers could do it. They'll nose the camel's nose under the tent, and I'm not comfortable with that. Okay?
I understand.
So I understand the misunderstanding with Mr. Voiles that a trailer is a trailer is a trailer, but I don't think so myself.
Well, you asked a very good question, and I took to heart your comments at the last committee meeting. Since that time, I did some research to try to address that, not only for your satisfaction, but for my own. I think it's important to point out, we're very concerned with our resident safety. Not only do we have a $1 million liability insurance policy, but an additional $9 million umbrella policy that covers those people. Travel trailer manufacturers are equally concerned with the safety of their residents, as are mobile home manufacturers and others. And in fact, the RVIA, which is the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association, are the ones that certify trailers to meet certain requirements. All of our trailers are certified by the RVIA to meet the requirements, and the requirements for that are that they are in compliance with the National Electric Code. I found out that the National Electric Code is the code that the City of North Little Rock follows under for all of their electrical requirements. And there are certain sections, I'll read this. This comes from the National Electric Code in the 2014 edition. The next edition, I think, will come out next year. And it says, I quote, "The National Electric Code covers the installation of electrical conductors, equipment, and raceways, signaling and communication conductors, equipment, and raceways, and optical fiber optic cables, raceways for public and private premises, including buildings, structures, mobile homes, recreational vehicles, and floatable buildings." And so I certainly do get that, generally speaking, these are for temporary. They are being used all over the country for much more than temporary. Specifically, your question was, do I have a plan for how soon we might be pulling them out? And quite frankly, I do not. We did not go in with an exit strategy. We're going to put these in, keep them for 2 years, and then pull them back out. It would just really kind of depend on what the market factors are in this neighborhood. If this neighborhood will continue to improve, we're seeing some improvements down there with drainage, with the fencing and the neighborhood signage. We've got a great neighborhood community with the Glenview neighborhood community and also the Meadow Park neighborhood community. Things are ripe to happen here. And I've talked to Mr. Burkhalter when he was the chairman of the Highway Commission. We had him down for a meeting with our city engineers to try to get some better highway improvements there. I think it's not a good answer, but the answer is when those kind of things start happening, we'll continue to develop. And then also as opportunity. Quite frankly, my corner property down there that we sold to Family Dollar wasn't for sale. I didn't have a plan to put Family Dollar there. But once we were approached, we worked very closely with them and with the city of North Little Rock to ensure that we didn't let them get away.
Mr. Chambers?
One more question. What we have before us is a special use.
Yes, sir.
The special use goes with the ownership of the land.
That's correct.
So if you were to sell it tomorrow, they would have to come back in for a special use. I'm concerned about the property degrading or becoming worse. I don't know if there's any support among the commissioners to put a renewal on the special use so that in 2 or 3 years you come back and ask to renew the special use. This would in some way keep someone from saying, I've got 5 acres and I want to put this many fifth wheel units on here because they're small and you can get a lot of them on there. So by setting the precedent with this application that it has a sunset or renewal clause in it, that would imply that anyone who wants to build a park exclusively with fifth wheels would have to come and get it renewed because that's the precedent we set, okay? I don't know if you're comfortable with that or if I get any support from the commissioners. I'm just concerned about setting a bad precedent. That's my point.
It's my understanding, and you, certainly, sir, you know way more about this than I do, that a special use does not set a precedent, that it's a special use for this particular piece of property, for this particular landowner. I cannot put any more than 6 trailers there unless I come back before this group. I certainly have no intention. My hands are full. I got this thing cleaned up. I'm ready to keep it cleaned up. Our goal is to improve the property values down there for the time being. I think we've done that. We're not in sale mode. We're in acquisition mode. So we will not be selling the property anytime soon to anybody that might not take care of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Ms. Jackie?
Vote some time ago not to allow any more trailers.
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of. Ms. Belasco?
Sean, would you reiterate, just so I understand, if he had come in and removed what was there, he could have put 6 or more?
He could have replaced them 1 for 1, so he couldn't
One
put
for
any
one.
more.
Okay.
So it's.
But they could have been used, they could have been no better shape than what was there. He could
They
have,
would have had, I think, the way it's 1974 or.
or newer,
newer,
but
yeah.
still, they did not have to be new.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments from the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Alexander,
No.
Yes?
No.
Foster. Yes. Harris.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Chairman Cook.
Yes. Your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you what your next step would be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our agenda meeting today. Next item is public comment. Anyone? Public comments,
one.
Ms. Belasco?
The Amboy Neighborhood Association is having a chili cook-off this Saturday, 9-ish, judging to start at 11, at the Amboy Methodist Church on Military. We need chili cookers and we need chili eaters, so y'all all come.
Thank you. Mr. Foster?
I was looking at your, back in your development review comment, or committee reports here, and I looked on SD 2015-7, and there's just a ton of comments on here, and it leads me to believe or think that, what did they submit this, on a napkin, paper napkin or something, to have that many comments? Is it your duty to tell developers and people that, of what to do to develop their property? I thought we were in the business of reviewing this. I mean, that looks like you would just hand it back to them and say.
To be polite, Mr. Butler was the applicant, and
He knows better than that.
He's doing the best he can, so we're here to help him through the process. So what he presents is not our normal stuff, but what he finally got to it, and what I have in the drawing file right now is fine.
Okay.
But
Right.
it takes him 2 or 3 tries, but we're here to help him, so.
Well, I can understand you treat Mr. Butler that way for his service to this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Ms. Alexander?
I have to understand that it goes for one trailer park, does not go for the other. When we voted against adding trailers on Broadway, when they came before us, does that not stand for all the trailer parks?
When there was one application some years ago that was turned down. Since then, that I remember, there's been 2 applications that's been approved on Broadway. And then this one being the 3rd, but they are not trailer parks per se. His is not. His was a trailer park. And the way I understand it, Mr. Voiles interpreted the travel trailers to be used in place of a trailer, which we were getting a whole lot better deal with what we got than what we had. So I think that may be his reasoning behind giving him a heads up possibly on he would be okay by doing that. Well, in his interpretation of that, the new staff determined that not to be so. Hence, they told him, number 1, he would need to get it rezoned to an R4, which he
Which we
cleaned
did.
that up. Number 2, to put travel trailers in there in place of the mobile homes that were there, he would come before and get a special use, which is what he did today. But if someone were to come in and say, I want to put a mobile home park down here on East Broadway or down in Dixie Edition or Tie Plant Edition or anywhere else, they would not be allowed to do that unless they could get the city to rezone that to R6 to get that done.
Okay. Sorry for the confusion.
Well, that's-
Thank you.
Anybody else? On the motion? Anybody? Motion made and seconded. We'll be adjourned. All in favor, aye. Everyone have a good Turkey Day.